Many on this channel have dismissed witchcraft as some outdated thing that is no longer in existence today. Others are sure it is an old wives' tale that will never impact on their lives. But what exactly is witchcraft? Is it true that if you ignore it you can never be affected by it? Where did witchcraft come from in the first place? Chris answers all those questions in this video and gives you a game-changing revelation. Over to you, Chris.
My dear brother, my dear sister, from today, you need to know that if you ignore something, it does not mean it does not exist. And even more important, it does not mean that it cannot affect you. I've talked about witchcraft on this channel. People have said, what? In the 21st century you're talking about witchcraft? Rubbish. Others have said, witchcraft cannot affect anybody who ignores it. Not true. And I'm about to demonstrate why it is not true. In the same way people have said, spiritual laws are rubbish. They don't affect me. I can do my things and succeed and completely ignore spiritual laws. Whatever they are, whatever that is. Now I'm going to keep this very simple, with a lot of illustrations so that I don't lose anybody. If you want to understand completely what spiritual laws are and what witchcraft is, you need to plant something on the ground. Just a plant. It doesn't matter what it is, even a flower. And then you observe what happens. And you'll completely understand spiritual laws. Because that is exactly, precisely how spiritual laws work. Against you or for you. And this is how the same spiritual laws work against politics and politicians and certain political tactics. Bottom line, you can avoid spiritual laws the way you can avoid gravity. Go to the top floor of a building, you're very educated, you know everything, and you say gravity will not affect me, and you jump. And even as you fall to your death, you can keep on insisting, these things don't affect me. Until the last minute, it won't change a thing. Back to my illustration. Assuming you used a good seed, a perfect seed, your plant will shoot out of the ground. And also assuming that you plant it in the perfect conditions. That means water, nutrients in the soil, etc., etc. After a short while, your plant will shoot out of the ground. It will not happen instantly. It will not happen immediately. That's another spiritual law. It will take a certain period of time, maybe 3 days, 4 days. And then, after it shoots out of the ground, very interesting things start happening. Weeds come from nowhere. They start choking your plant. Birds come and start eating the leaves. Caterpillars start feeding on the leaves like there's no tomorrow. And so many other negative things designed to stop that plant from going anywhere start coming out of the woodwork. And if you ignore all those issues, tell yourself they don't exist, they don't matter, sooner or later that plant will die. Now hold on to that thought for a minute, and let's quickly go to the Bible. I know some people believe it's a fairy tale, but just hear me out. If you do, you will get a major revelation that will help you in your life. The Bible tells us that there was a major war in heaven, and some inhabitants of heaven were thrown out. We call them the fallen angels. And they fell on earth, and they interacted with human beings. Indeed, we are told by the Bible that they married human wives, and they gave birth to giants. It's all there in the Bible. Now, there's a book which was omitted, taken out of the Bible, called the Book of Enoch. In the Book of Enoch, we are told that these fallen angels, when they married human wives, the first thing they taught them, wait for this one, was witchcraft. So how did these beings learn witchcraft? Did they learn it in heaven? No. But they had knowledge, very deep knowledge of spiritual laws that control the earth. And so all they did was to use that knowledge for evil purposes. Because a law applies to everybody. That is why it's called a law. It applies to everybody and everything. For example, in those days, to worship God, you had to offer sacrifice, slaughter an animal, shed the blood, etc., etc., and worship God. So these beings twisted it. They did the same, followed exactly the same spiritual laws, but not to worship God, to worship somebody else. Bottom line, that is precisely what witchcraft is. Using spiritual laws for evil. Using spiritual laws to defy your Maker, Almighty God. That is precisely what witchcraft is. Now in these spiritual laws, there's also hierarchy. Yeah, you can't have two people at the same level in one home or in one family, for instance. A home will fall apart if there's no clear head of the home. Imagine a situation where the man, the husband, is the head of the home, but then the woman is also the head of the home, maybe even more powerful than the man. That home will not stand. A kingdom divided against itself will not stand. There needs to be an authority, a person whose word is final, no arguments. Let me give you a quick example. Somebody uses spiritual laws against you, plays witchcraft on you, and so you go to see a witch doctor, and the witch doctor appears to solve the problem. Yeah, whatever was done against you is reversed, and you're very happy, and you believe that whatever was eating you has gone forever. Actually, it has gone nowhere. What has happened is that a spiritual law has been used to solve the problem. Yeah. A demon, a spirit, with more authority than the one which was initially sent to give you trouble, enters your body. And it tells the other smaller one, the one with smaller authority, shut up. Shh, I'm here. I'm now in charge. And your problem seemingly goes away. But in actual fact, what has happened is that instead of having one evil spirit inside you, you now have two. One with higher authority than another one. You cannot change these spiritual laws. There is no way you can wake up one morning after you've gotten your 10th PhD and say this is rubbish and it stands. No. Now let's apply this to politics. And politics is everywhere. Even in a church, even in a mosque. And so you go to this church and you find the man of God there carries a lot of authority. He doesn't have any money. He doesn't have property. He's not rich. But he carries a lot of authority. His word is final. People wait for his decision in everything. People even consult him or her for their own decisions. And then in sharp contrast, you go to another church where the pastor has no authority. People are doing what they want. And you wonder what's wrong. If you investigate further, you'll find out that spiritually, the pastor who carries authority is fully submitted under the authority of his Maker, Almighty God. And the pastor who's having so many problems does not carry authority. If you investigate, you'll find that they're not fully submitted under the authority. To get authority, you need to respect authority. That's a spiritual law, very important. In the Bible, a prophet called Elisha was fully submitted under the authority of Elijah, who was fully submitted under the authority of Almighty God. And the authority that Elisha carried after Elijah left this earth It is believed he did not die. He just left. The authority Elisha carried was so great that he was able to perform double the miracles that Elijah performed, including one last one when he was already dead, long dead. A body touched his bones and came back to life. Let's come to Kenya. The late President Moi was fully submitted under the authority of his boss, President Jomo Kenyatta, under very difficult circumstances. He was embarrassed. He was insulted. All manner of things were done to him. But he remained fully submitted under the authority of Jomo Kenyatta. And what happened? He became a president who carried more authority than Jomo Kenyatta. And yet Moi's character was meek. He was a meek man, very humble. Yeah. Jomo Kenyatta, you defied him, he canes you on the spot. Moi, you defy him, he just looks at you. But because of this spiritual law, which is there forever, you can't change it. Moi not only carried more authority than Jomo Kenyatta, despite his character, but he also ruled for 24 years, compared to Jomo Kenyatta's 15. You can never run away from spiritual laws. Until next time, this is Chris Kumekucha.